Hello. Tonight, a flash of lightning splits the sky just above Mount Olympus, and you're standing on a path of pale marble, slick with rain that never touches the mortal world. The air is thick with static, and somewhere nearby, a golden eagle screams, "It's late, far too late, and you definitely shouldn't be here. You're trespassing among immortals who've forgotten how to whisper until now. You probably won't survive this journey. But then again, nobody ever does when gods begin to remember. So before you relax, consider liking and subscribing, but only if you truly enjoy what I do here. And let me know where you are and what time it is in the comments. Maybe there's another soul listening in the dark with you. Now dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background noise. And let's slowly begin tonight's voyage. A breeze carries the scent of ozone and honey, warm like something ancient just awakened. The clouds above Olympus churn not from weather, but from warning. Somewhere deep in the halls of the gods, Zeus stirs. You feel it not in your chest, but behind your eyes. A pressure, like a memory trying to surface. He's dreaming again, and that's never good. You tread carefully across silver-veined stones, each step echoing louder than the last. The statues that line the path aren't statues anymore. Their eyes flick toward you, stone made flesh for just a heartbeat, and somewhere, far too close, you hear thunder laugh. Scholars still debate whether Mount Olympus was a physical location or a symbolic realm of power. One thing's for certain, where you stand now, reality bends. There's no GPS, no tripods on, hiking trails, no cute Instagram filters, just divine secrets and a breeze that sounds eerily like someone whispering your name. You pass a sycamore tree older than cities, its bark blackened from Hephaestus' fury. The scorch marks tell a story. Not all storms come from the sky, and there, perched on a crag of marble, sits a bird, a raven. Not Athena's owl, not Apollo's swan, just a lone, black-feathered witness to a forgotten truth. It tilts its head. You tilt yours. Neither of you is sure which one is real. Again, it croaks. He remembers again. You don't answer. Mostly because you're afraid your voice will betray you, but also because you don't want to admit that you've been summoned not by prayer, not by fate, but by a fracture. Something is breaking. Inside Olympus, the throne room is empty. Zeus isn't here, not physically, but his presence hums through. The columns like feedback in an old radio. The eagle that guards his standard lies asleep, chained not by iron, but by memory. Its dreams stir the clouds outside. You step forward and place a hand on the cold throne. It's smoother than it should. Be worn, as if gods grow tired, as if even Zeus, king of the gods, has sat here too long. A scroll lies at the base, unrolled and inked with names you don't recognize. Not Perseus, not Achilles, not even Heracles. These are older, forgotten, names scrubbed from myths, edited from epic poems, dissolved into metaphor. You read one, Illustrios. The ink moves slightly as if it knows it's being seen. An unusual fact, there are accounts from Hellenistic times describing a god between gods, never named, only referenced as the one who left. Most historians dismiss it as literary flair. You, however, are beginning to think they missed something. Suddenly, the raven lands near the scroll. Its beak taps a spot on the parchment you hadn't noticed. The ink there forms a Greek, not linear B, not even Phoenician, but it pulses, faintly. A whisper you don't hear with your ears, but with your bones. Lightning strikes again. Not outside, inside. The throne flares. For a moment, just a moment, you see Zeus but younger, hair ungrayed by war, eyes unburned by prophecy. He speaks, but the sound is backwards. The throne flickers. So does your courage. You're not supposed to be here, says a voice behind you. You spin. Nothing. Just columns. Just the breath of time running through a room built before time had lungs. The raven hops onto the scroll again and looks up at you. He's remembering things he buried. What things? The others, the raven says, shrugging its wings. The ones Olympus doesn't speak of. You kneel, reluctantly, and the ink ripples beneath your fingers. A crack appears in the marble, and through it, something ancient exhales. The crack in the marble doesn't gape or shatter. It hums, a low, resonant vibration that moves through the floor, up your legs, and into your teeth. It's like biting down on a tuning fork, but one tuned to a frequency Olympus would rather forget. You step back instinctively, but not fast enough. A glint of gold pulses from the fissure and shoots up a nearby column, etching symbols that twist and shimmer before dissolving into mist. You're not alone anymore. Behind one of the pillars, fabric rustles, a slow, deliberate motion silk against stone. You know better than to call out. If it's one of the gods, they already know you're here. If it's something worse, well, yelling probably won't help. A woman steps into view, tall, draped in green veils, stitched with peacock feathers. Her eyes are sharp and almond-shaped, burning not with anger but with memory, one she's held too long. Hera, queen of the gods, empress of Olympus. And here she is, barefoot, without thunder or ceremony, watching you like you just spilled wine on a wedding dress. She doesn't speak right away. Instead, she walks past you and touches the crack. Her fingers glow faintly. So, she says, more to herself than to you. He's dreaming again. The raven shifts on the scroll behind you, suddenly silent. Hera turns to you. Did you read the names? You nod. Then you've already seen too much. You swallow hard. Who are they? Her gaze drifts beyond you, past the throne room, into a corridor that no longer exists. Ghosts, she says softly. All of them, and I buried them. A widely accepted historical fact. Hera was worshipped across the Greek world not just as Zeus's consort, but as a powerful deity in her own right. In some regions, her temples were older and grander than Zeus's, but history tends to remember her through a different lens. Jealous wife, scorned queen, serial punisher of mistresses. You now see that lens was crafted carefully, maybe even maliciously. Do you know why they call me vengeful? Hera asks, walking slowly around the throne. Because I remember. Because I refuse to forget what he once buried. You follow? Her glance to the crack, which pulses once more gold, now laced with crimson. History is written by victors, she says, but myth is rewritten by survivors. She touches your forehead gently. Not a blessing, not quite a curse, just a permission. The air sharpens. Your vision blurs for a second and then shifts. You're no longer in the throne room. You stand on a balcony overlooking Olympus when it was young, not polished. Wild columns, still growing from the mountainside, like ribs from a sleeping giant. Hera stands beside you, not veiled this time, younger. Her crown is made of braided ivy and copper. Her eyes are fierce and full of stars. She points toward the summit. He forgets how many promises he's broken. A swirl of memory clouds your vision. A wedding, golden apples, a child that never came home, and in the shadows of it, Alalistrios again. Not a name this time, a face, sharp, cheekbones, eyes like molten silver. Someone who stood with them, equal and exiled. Who was he? You whisper. But you're back in the throne room before she can answer. Eh? Marginal fact. Some oracles in the ancient world refuse to speak Hera's name directly, referring to her only as she who remembers. Most dismiss this as symbolic. Modesty. Others others weren't allowed to publish their findings. You glance back toward the scroll. It's gone. The raven too. Only Hera remains, now seated on Zeus's throne. Her eyes are closed. You take a breath. Maybe it's safe to ask, why show me this? She opens one eye. Because you're already part of it. You stepped where? No mortal was invited, and Olympus is listening. A crack runs through the ceiling now. Thin hairline but growing. Light leaks through, flickering like flame behind wet glass. The stories you've heard, she says, are only half true. And truth is a dangerous thing up here. You nod, unsure whether that means you'll be allowed to leave. She rises. You'll need to speak to Hephaestus. He remembers what the rest of them tried to forget. If he'll speak to you. A stone? Panel opens in the floor near the base of the throne. Below, you see the orange glow of forge light. The air smells like ash and metal. You're not given a choice. You step down into it. As the floor closes behind you, Hera's final words echo in the chamber. Be careful what truths you wake. Some of them are armed. The descent is slow at first. The stone steps spiral like a nautilus shell, wide enough for a titan to pass, but worn by narrower feet. The glow grows stronger the deeper you go, not sunlight, but something denser, redder, like the inside of a volcano that doesn't believe in safety regulations. The air thickens with heat and iron, and somewhere far below, something hammers metal with terrifying rhythm. You're not entirely sure you're breathing anymore. The forge doesn't feel like a place that welcomes oxygen, it's more like you're inhaling memory cooked over coals. At the base, the corridor widens. You step into a space that isn't a room, but a wound in the earth. Molten rivers crisscross beneath grates of bronze and obsidian, and from them rise half-finished sculptures, arms reaching, mouths open, wings melting into chains. The sound of hammering echoes off every surface, relentless and uncomfortably syncopated, like jazz for gods who never learned to dance. Hephaestus is here. You don't see him right away, but you smell oil and sweat and old magic. Then you hear the grinding of a gear too large to exist, and he steps into view. He's not hunched. That's just the story they told you. He walks with precision, step weighted like it's been calculated. His arms are sleeved in soot and steam, veins glowing faintly under skin that's half bronze, half something else. His beard is streaked with ash and firelight. You shouldn't be here, he says, without looking up. But then again, neither should I. You clear your throat? Hera sent me. That gets a reaction. He sets down his hammer. The silence that follows is worse than the noise. She remembers, he says, almost softly. Of course she does. You nod. I'm looking for Illustrios. Hephaestus sighs, and motions for you to follow. You pass strange machines, things that were, and click and whisper your name in reverse. One resembles a loom but weaves not thread, but time. Another looks like a mirror but reflects your fears instead of your face. You politely avoid eye contact with that one. Scholars still debate my exile, he mutters as he moves. Some say it was my birth deformity. Others say Zeus threw me for siding with Hera. The truth is, he gestures to the forge. I jumped. Olympus didn't fall apart. I did. He leads you to a pedestal carved from volcanic glass. Upon it sits, a Bladen finished, humming softly. I've been reforging this for centuries, he says. It belonged to a historical fact. Ancient Greek smiths often believed their creations contained a fragment of the creator's soul. Hephaestus, god of fire and craftsmanship, was believed to forge living essence into every artifact. If that's true, then this blade still knows its owner. You lean closer. Symbols dance along its surface. They don't translate. They insinuate. Courage, banishment, choice. What happened to him? You ask. Hephaestus frowns. He made us choose. Choose what? Whether to keep Olympus whole or honest? You blink. That's not the kind of choice immortals handle well. He wasn't just another god. Hephaestus continues. He was the part of us we don't like to admit exists. Balance. Truth. The kind of truth that ruins myths and topples temples. You run a finger just above the blade. It hums higher, almost like it's trying to sing. Did you follow him? I stayed. I built. His eyes glow slightly. But I never forgave myself. The forge dims slightly, as if ashamed. You ask, can I find him? Hephaestus turns away, picking up a chunk of cooled iron. Not unless you go to the place we buried him. Where's that? He looks at you sharply. In a memory none of us dare recall. The blade lifts from the pedestal on its own. It hovers in front of you, expectant. Take it, Hephaestus says. You'll need it where you're going, not for battle, for belief. You grasp it. It's lighter than it should be. It knows. You don't know how, but it does. A marginal note from a long-lost temple in Crete mentions a weapon forged to divide gods from themselves. Most academics chalk it up to metaphor. Right now, you're holding metaphor in your hands, and it's warm. As you turn to leave, Hephaestus calls after you. Tell Athena I still have her secret. She'll know what that means. The stairs reopen behind you, glowing faintly now with the same heat that radiates from the blade. You step upward, each tread vibrating with anticipation, the kind that usually comes before revolutions or extremely awkward family dinners. At the top, the door closes behind you. You're no longer in the throne room. You're in a war room. The floor is carved with constellations, glowing slightly beneath your feet. Athena stands at the center, arms crossed, watching stars shift in real time across a celestial map. She turns toward you and says, "So, you've met the smith?" You hold up the blade. It sings in recognition. "Good," she says. "Now let's see how deep Olympus is willing to lie." Athena doesn't move. She simply watches you, her gray eyes sharp as whetted steel, measuring the distance between what you know and what you're about to. Her armor doesn't shine, it absorbs light. The plume of her helmet sways ever so slightly, as if sensing the tension in the air, or maybe just catching some mythical draft. The celestial map at her feet spins slowly. Stars flicker and fade, constellations shift like chess pieces. You recognize Orion for a moment, then he vanishes, replaced by a pattern that resembles your face. That's not unsettling at all. "I see you've brought the blade," she says, her voice calm but taut. "Hephaestus shouldn't have given it to you this early." You blink. "There's a schedule. There's a pattern," she corrects, "which you've just disrupted. But perhaps that's the point." The blade hums softly in your hand, less like a weapon now, and more like a tuning fork pressed to your soul. You feel a tug at something inside you, something curious, something ancient. Athena walks across the star map and motions for you to follow. You obey, naturally, because you're not in the habit of disobeying gods who wear silence like a sword. She stops at a column carved with owl feathers and olive branches, symbolic, sure, but also ... not. This one pulses faintly, a heartbeat, trapped in marble. She places a hand on it, and the stone melts into water. Beyond it is not a room, but a memory. "Step through," she says. "You're not coming." She gives you a look that could kill philosophical debates in 5 words or fewer. "I already know what's in there." Of course she does. You step through. Suddenly, you're in a library? Not the kind with checkout counters and passive-aggressive signage. This one is infinite books float in the air. Scrolls weave themselves into columns, and the ceiling is a dome of parchment that flexes like lungs. A staircase curls endlessly downward. You hear whispers, not voices, ideas, a general historical fact. The Greeks believed Athena sprang fully formed from Zeus's head, but older versions suggest she absorbed the wisdom of Metis, her mother, whom Zeus swallowed whole. Some versions go further. Metis never truly died. She simply became the voice in Athena's mind. Right now, that voice is louder than ever. You walk between floating tomes and hovering glyphs. The blade in your hand pulses whenever you pass certain scrolls. You reach out and one unrolls itself. It shows Athena, unarmored, and very, very afraid. She's standing before an amphora, holding something wrapped in linen, a child. The image flickers. Another scroll shows her placing the bundle into a temple abandoned, sealed, and forgotten. The door closes with a sigh that seems to echo across eternity. She erased something. You turn around. Athena stands behind you, now in the memory with you. Her voice is low. Illustrios wasn't just a god, she says. He was our balance. The one who held the space between strategy and passion, chaos and order. You mean justice? No, she says. I mean clarity. He saw what we didn't want to, and he made us see it. You glance at the scroll again. The child doesn't look divine. It looks human and terrified. He told us that our stories weren't enough. Athena continues. That myth should serve mortals, not rule them. That our names had power only because people believed in them, and that was threatening. She looks away, terrifying. You ask, did you kill him? Her answer is silence, which is probably worse than yes. A fringe belief among certain ancient Athenian philosophers held that Athena once attempted to create a mortal society led by rational divine insight, city of balance. No records of its location survive. Most historians consider this allegorical. Athena breaks the silence. Hephaestus forged the blade to divide us, in case we forgot what we stood for. Illustrios disappeared shortly after. You nod slowly. You all forgot him. Not forgot, she whispers. We buried him inside ourselves. Each of us holds a fragment. That's why the blade sings. It's calling those pieces back. The scrolls around you begin to tremble, whispering names in languages no longer spoken. Your name is among them now. You don't know how you know, but you know. Athena's eyes are wet. Go to Delphi, she says. The oracle still remembers, though she pretends otherwise. Will she help me? She'll lie to you, Athena says. But in the lie, you'll find the path. The room begins to dissolve. The books fold in on themselves. The blade in your hand glows gold for the first time. Not threatening, not violent, just ready. You step back through the watery column. Athena is gone. You're standing at the edge of the Pantheon, and in the distance, Mount Parnassus shimmers like a mirage. The oracle is waiting, and she has not been sleeping well. You walk the dusty path to Delphi, the air thick with the scent of pine and old stone. The sun hangs low, casting long shadows that flicker like ghosts along the worn cobblestones. You can almost hear the whispers of pilgrims long gone, their prayers etched into every crack and crevice. Delphi was once the center of the world, a place where mortals and gods touched, and fate was spoken aloud. Now, it feels more like a haunted echo of itself. Approaching the temple of Apollo, you see the remains of the sacred laurel trees, their branches brittle, but still whispering secrets. A general historical fact, the Delphic oracle was one of the most influential spiritual figures in ancient Greece, believed to channel the god Apollo himself through cryptic prophecies. Her pronouncements shaped wars, guided rulers, and even shifted the course of empires. You enter the temple's ruined nave, where dust motes dance in shafts of fading light. At the far end, seated on a worn throne of stone, is a woman. Her eyes are cloudy but sharp, and her voice carries the weight of centuries. I knew you'd come, she says, smiling faintly. The blade carries your scent. The gods' echoes are louder than ever. You ask about Illustrios, about the forgotten god who haunts Olympus' shadows. She leans forward, eyes narrowing. The one who balanced chaos and order. The one who dared to speak the truth. I've seen his shadow walk among mortals, wearing different faces, weaving through time's threads. He is not dead, only hidden, an unusual fact. Some ancient texts hint that the oracle's prophecies were influenced not just by Apollo, but also by a secret brotherhood who guarded forbidden knowledge. Their identities were erased, their names whispered only in fear. You wonder if Illustrios was part of that circle. The oracle's fingers trace patterns in the dust. To find him, you must listen to what the silence says. Not with ears, but with your heart. You close your eyes. The silence swells, thick and tangible. like a symphony without sound. In that stillness, you feel a pulse, steady, rhythmic, like a heartbeat beneath the earth. Follow the river, she whispers, to where Poseidon's realm touches the world above. There lies the secret city, the one he hoped you'd never find. As you rise, she calls after you, beware the waters. Poseidon's gift is as dangerous as his wrath. You step out into the twilight, the weight of the oracle's words settling in your bones. The sky shifts from amber to indigo, stars peeking shyly from the velvet darkness. You feel the blade at your side, its warmth a steady comfort. The journey isn't over, it's just beginning. You follow the winding river through dense forests, where the air hums with the songs of unseen creatures. The water glistens under the moonlight, a silken ribbon threading through the landscape, leading you deeper into a world where the boundary between myth and reality blurs. The soft splash of your footsteps in the shallows is the only sound, save for the occasional rustle of leaves or the distant call of an owl. The river is Poseidon's domain, and its currents are unpredictable, sometimes gentle, sometimes violent. A widely accepted historical fact is that the ancient Greeks revered Poseidon not only as the god of the sea, but also of earthquakes and horses, a triple domain that made him both creator and destroyer. His moods were mirrored in the unpredictable tides and tremors that shaped the land. As you proceed, the landscape shifts. The trees grow taller, their roots tangled with ancient stone ruins, half swallowed by moss and ivy. You step cautiously, aware that every footfall could awaken something best left sleeping. Suddenly, the river widens into a lagoon, its surface perfectly still and dark as obsidian. In the center, an island emerges crowned by a crumbling temple where columns lean precariously, defying time's erosion. You feel the blade grow warm against your hip. An unusual fact: there are legends of a submerged city beneath the Aegean, said to be a refuge for gods and mortals alike, hidden by Poseidon's will. Scholars debate its existence, but fishermen tell tales of glimmers beneath the waves and voices carried on the wind. You step onto the island, the ground soft beneath your boots. The temple door hangs open, inviting and ominous. Inside, the air smells of salt and old stone. Faint carvings on the walls depict sea creatures entwined with human forms, mermaids, tritons, and shadows you can't quite name. The stories of the sea gods come alive here, whispered in a language older than memory. You approach an altar where a basin of water shimmers unnaturally. Dipping your fingers in, you feel a ripple of energy passing through your veins. Who seeks the truth beneath the waves? A voice murmurs. You whirl around. A figure emerges from the shadows, draped in seaweed and coral, eyes like storm clouds. A guardian of Poseidon's realm. You carry the blade of Illustrios, the figure says. That alone marks you as friend or foe. You reply cautiously, I seek the lost balance, the god who vanished. The guardian studies you, then nods, slowly. Then you must face the trial of the tides. A scholarly debate lingers on whether such trials were literal tests of endurance or symbolic rites of passage. Whatever the truth, you sense this won't be an easy crossing. The water around you begins to swirl, and the temple walls pulse with an otherworldly light. You grip the blade tighter, feeling it hum in response. The trial has begun. The water roils, swirling faster, as if stirred by Poseidon himself. You stand firm on the temple's damp floor, feeling the pulse of the blade sync with the rhythm of the tides. The guardian's gaze never leaves you, silent but commanding, as the shadows flicker and stretch like fingers reaching for your resolve. You step into the swirling water, its chill cutting through your skin like shards of forgotten promises. The river's edge no longer feels safe. Fits an invitation to a realm where reality bends and mortal rules dissolve. A widely accepted historical fact. The ancient Greeks often viewed water as a liminal space, a threshold between worlds. Rivers, seas, and lakes were portals for gods and souls alike. Places where the boundaries between life and death, truth and illusion, became fluid. You navigate the shifting currents, the water tugging at your limbs with the weight of centuries. Each step forward feels like walking through a dream, half remembered, but fully alive. The guardian's voice echoes around you. The trial is not only strength, but understanding. You close your eyes, focusing on the hum of the blade, feeling it whisper stories beneath the roar of the water. Images flood your mind storms, raging over ancient shores, sacrifices made in silence. Whispers of love and betrayal, tangled in sea foam. Suddenly, the water calms. You find yourself on a rocky shore, bathed in moonlight that glitters like spilled silver. Ahead, a figure stands, cloaked in the night's shadows, but unmistakably divine. Illustrios. You breathe. He steps forward, eyes deep as the ocean's abyss, a sadness etched into every line of his face. You carry the blade, he says. You've come far. An unusual fact. Some ancient myths suggest Illustrios was not only a god, but a mediator between gods and mortals, embodying the delicate balance that Olympus feared to acknowledge. His disappearance left a void scholars still puzzle over. You ask, why did you disappear? He looks away, voice barely a whisper. Because the truth I held was too heavy for gods and mortals alike. You take a step closer. What truth? He gestures to the sky, where constellations shift, forming patterns of light and shadow. That power without balance is destruction. That myth without meaning is silence. Scholars still debate whether Illustrios was truly a god or a symbol created to embody ideals lost to time. But standing before him, you feel the weight of his existence is undeniable. He hands you a shard of obsidian, warm and pulsating. This is part of the balance. Keep it. You accept it, feeling the pulse of the universe steady in your palm. The tide begins to pull you back toward the temple. Illustrios fades like a mist, leaving behind the scent of salt and old memories. You look to the guardian, who nods solemnly. The trial is past, but the journey is far from over. You step back onto the island, the blade quiet now, but alive. The path ahead leads to secrets buried beneath marble and shadow. Secrets that will challenge everything you thought you knew about gods, mortals, and the spaces between. Leaving the island, you follow a narrow path lined with twisted olive trees, whose gnarled branches reach like ancient hands, grasping for forgotten truths. The air is thick with the scent of earth and salt, and a gentle breeze carries distant echoes of lyres and laughter. You can almost hear the faint hum of a city that once thrived here, buried beneath centuries of dust and myth. You approach a grand marble archway, its surface etched with scenes of gods and mortals, intertwined celebrations, battles, betrayals, and moments of tender silence. This is the entrance to the hidden city, the one Poseidon sought to conceal from both gods and men. Its name has been lost, erased by time and the tides. A historical fact, ancient Greek city-states often built temples and sanctuaries dedicated to Poseidon near the sea, serving as both places of worship and strategic defense points. Some archaeologists believe these coastal sanctuaries hid more than just religious artifacts. They guarded powerful secrets. Stepping beyond the archway, you find yourself in a city frozen in time. The streets are paved with cracked stones, and statues stand like sentinels, worn but proud. The buildings lean precariously, their foundations battling the slow creep of the sea. Yet the city's heart beats with a strange energy, as if waiting for a story to awaken it. As you wander, you notice inscriptions in an ancient script, a language scholars argue was invented by a secret cult devoted to maintaining cosmic balance. One phrase repeats itself: the truth is the tide that never rests. You reach the central plaza, where a fountain shaped like a trident trickles water that glows faintly in the moonlight. Near it lies a pedestal, empty except for a faded imprint, like the ghost of something once held. Suddenly, a whisper brushes your ear, soft and urgent. The key is within, it says, but beware the shadows that guard it. You spin around, but find only empty streets and statues staring with hollow eyes. The city feels alive yet silent, watching and waiting. An unusual fact. Some ancient myths tell of shadow guardians, spectral protectors, tasked with defending sacred knowledge from those unworthy, whether they were literal spirits or allegories. For human fears remains a topic of academic debate. You feel the blade vibrate lightly, urging you forward. Ahead, a narrow alley leads into darkness deeper than the night itself. Summoning your courage, you step into the shadows. The walls close in, and the air grows colder. The silence is thick, almost tangible. You hear a faint tapping, a rhythm, like a heartbeat, but offbeat, unsettling. Suddenly, figures emerge, neither fully human nor god, their forms shifting like smoke and water. They block your path, eyes glowing with ancient light. The balance must not be disturbed. One whispers, voice like rustling leaves. You grip the blade tightly, its hum rising in defiance. This path is mine to walk, you say firmly. The figures hesitate, then dissolve into mist, leaving a trail of shimmering light. You follow it to a hidden chamber beneath the city, where a crystalline orb rests on a pedestal. Inside, swirling mists depict scenes of gods and mortals in fragile harmony. You understand. The orb contains the essence of balance, the secret Illustrios fought to protect. As you reach out, the orb pulses, sending waves of warmth and clarity through you. The journey has led you here to the heart of the forgotten truth, but the final test awaits. The chamber around you hums softly, the crystalline orb casting prismatic light that dances across ancient walls. You reach out, fingers brushing its surface, and suddenly the air thickens, vibrating with the weight of unspoken promises and shattered oaths. The orb pulses rhythmically, as if breathing alongside you, inviting you deeper into the mystery it holds. You step back, blade still in hand, feeling the gravity of the moment. This is more than an artifact, it's a living memory, a fragment of the very balance Illustrios embodied. Scholars still debate whether such objects could contain divine essence, or if they were symbolic tools for teaching. Right now, it feels as real as your own heartbeat. The orb projects visions, flashes of Olympus, its glories and flaws laid bare. You see gods tangled in petty rivalries, mortals caught in their games, and beneath it all, the fragile thread of balance fraying an unusual detail, emerges a hidden ritual, performed by a secret sect to maintain cosmic order. The ceremony requires sacrifice, but not of blood or life. Instead, it demands surrendering illusions, laying down power for truth. As the visions fade, a voice soft but firm resonates in the chamber. To restore what was lost, you must unmake what was never true. You realize this journey is not just about finding Illustrios, but about unraveling the myths that bind gods and mortals alike. The blade in your hand vibrates with new urgency. It is both key and challenge. You turn to leave, but the chamber begins to shift. Walls ripple like water, doors disappear, and the floor tilts. The path out is a puzzle demanding wit and courage. Remembering the words of Athena and Hephaestus, you tap into the blade's hum, letting it guide your steps. Each correct move brings relief. Each mistake awakens whispers of doubt. Finally, you reach an exit opening onto a sunlit cliff overlooking the Aegean Sea. The vast expanse stretches before you, endless and inviting. Breathing deeply, you feel the balance within yourself settle, a fragile harmony between doubt and faith, power and surrender. The quest for Illustrios is nearing its end, but the answers you seek lie not just in him, but in the choices you make now. The wind carries a faint melody, a whisper of gods long forgotten, reminding you that the story is far from over. The cliff's edge feels like the boundary between worlds, the sea breeze carrying both salt and silence. You stand there. The blades wait, a steady reminder that your journey is far from over. Below, the Aegean stretches endlessly, a vast mirror reflecting the sky's fading light, a threshold between mortal life and divine mystery. A widely accepted historical fact is that cliffs and high places were sacred in ancient Greek religion, thresholds where the earth met the heavens, and the divine was thought to descend. Delphi itself was one such place, but this feels different, charged with a more personal energy. You close your eyes, letting the wind wrap around you like a shroud. Memories flicker, Athena's stern gaze, the oracle's riddles, the guardian of Poseidon's realm. Each step has peeled back a layer of myth, revealing truths too complex for simple worship or fear. An unusual belief echoes in your mind, that Illustrios was not only a god, but also a mortal who transcended his origins, becoming a symbol of the delicate balance between divine and human. This idea unsettles scholars, many of whom argue it undermines the god's authority, but it resonates with your journey. You hear a faint rustle behind you, and turn to see a figure emerging from the shadows, Illustrios himself, or at least the closest semblance you have seen. His eyes hold the weight of ages, and his voice is both comforting and challenging. The balance you seek is not found in artifacts or prophecies, he says. It lives in the choices you make when no one is watching, in the truths you hold, even when they threaten your beliefs. You grip the blade tighter, feeling its hum pulse with your heartbeat. Scholars still debate the true nature of balance in Greek mythology, whether it was a cosmic principle or a human construct imposed on divine chaos. Perhaps both are true. Illustrios steps closer, offering a faint smile. The gods whisper, the mortals listen, but only you can decide what to believe. As the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, you understand that this is not an end, but a beginning. The story of gods and mortals is an eternal dance, and you are now part of its rhythm. You descend from the cliff, the cool evening air wrapping around you like a gentle cloak. The path ahead winds through ancient olive groves, their silvery leaves whispering secrets in the breeze. The world feels suspended between day and night, between myth and reality. Just like you, the blade at your side has quieted, but its presence remains a constant reminder of the balance you now carry. You sense the weight of unseen eyes, gods and spirits watching your every step, curious and wary. A widely accepted historical fact: olive trees were sacred to Athena, symbolizing peace and wisdom. They were central to Athenian identity and economy, a living connection between mortals and their patron goddess. As you move deeper into the grove, a soft glow appears ahead, an ancient altar bathed in moonlight. The air hums with energy, thick with the residue of prayers and rituals long past. An unusual insight. Some ancient cults believed that sacred groves were living entities themselves, capable of sensing intentions and even communicating with those who listened deeply enough. You approach the altar, placing the blade carefully upon its surface. It reacts, glowing faintly, as if acknowledging its place in the cycle. Suddenly, the grove shifts, shadows lengthen, and the whispers grow louder, weaving stories of gods who once walked among men, of heroes forgotten, and of truths buried beneath. Layers of myth, a voice soft female, and commanding echoes through the trees. Balance is not merely the absence of chaos, but the harmony of opposites. You realize this is Athena, her presence more felt than seen. Your journey has brought you here, but the path forward lies within your choices. She continues, will you uphold the balance, or will you let the whispers of power consume you? The question hangs in the night air, heavy and urgent. You understand that the true test is not in battles fought or secrets uncovered, but in the courage to embrace uncertainty and accept responsibility. The grove's whispers fade into a peaceful silence, leaving you alone with the steady beat of your heart and the quiet promise of dawn. You walk onward from the olive grove, the faint glow of dawn beginning to tint the horizon. The air grows cooler, and the soft rustling of leaves is joined by distant bird calls, as if the world itself is waking alongside you. The blade at your side feels lighter now, as if the burden you carried has begun to shift. Ahead, you reach a marble staircase carved into the mountainside, worn smooth by centuries of footsteps, pilgrims seeking wisdom, power, or redemption. The ascent is steep, each step a reminder of the effort required to reach higher understanding. A widely accepted historical fact, the ancient Greeks often constructed sanctuaries atop mountains, believing these high places brought them closer to the gods. Mount Olympus itself was revered as the divine dwelling. As you climb, your thoughts drift to the stories you've uncovered: Dilistrius's disappearance, the trials by Poseidon's waters, the balance held fragile by the blade in your hand. You sense a thread weaving these moments together, a tapestry of fate and free will. An unusual detail: some ancient texts suggest that certain mountain sanctuaries were guarded by enigmatic figures called the Keepers of the Threshold, who challenged seekers to confront their deepest fears before entering sacred spaces. Reaching the summit, you find a temple carved directly from the rock, its columns adorned with intricate reliefs depicting gods and moments of both triumph and despair. Inside, the air is cool and carries the faint scent of incense and aged stone. You kneel before an altar, placing the blade gently upon it. The stone beneath seems to pulse, resonating with a power both ancient and immediate. A voice fills the chamber deep, resonant and calm. Balance is not static, it says. It is a living force, shaped by choices, actions, and sacrifice. You realize this is Illustrius's voice, or perhaps the echo of his essence entwined with the very mountain. Scholars debate whether such divine manifestations were real or symbolic, representations of human understanding. But standing here, you feel the presence undeniable. The temple seems to breathe, the walls alive with light and shadow. You close your eyes, embracing the moment, knowing that the final pieces of your journey are within reach. The temple's silence wraps around you like a soft cloak as you rise from the altar, blade still pulsing faintly in your grasp. Outside, the sky shifts from dawn to morning, pale light spilling over marble columns and distant peaks. The journey through myth and shadow has led you here on the cusp of revelation and choice. You walk along a narrow corridor, walls etched with scenes of gods and mortals locked in delicate dances of power, trust, and betrayal. Each figure seems alive, their eyes following your every move, whispering secrets in a language just beyond comprehension. A widely accepted fact: Greek temples were not mere places of worship, but living spaces designed to evoke the presence of the divine, with every architectural detail imbued with symbolic meaning. As you reach the temple's heart, a chamber open to the sky above, you see a pool of crystal-clear water reflecting the heavens. It invites you to peer beneath its surface to see beyond the visible, into the hidden dot. An unusual insight. Some ancient rituals involved gazing into sacred pools to receive visions or communion with the divine. Whether these experiences were psychological, spiritual, or both, is a matter of ongoing scholarly debate. You kneel by the pool, fingertips barely touching the cool water. Images ripple and shift, glimpses of Illustrius's journey, the gods' quarrels and mortals' hopes tangled together. A voice resonates softly within your mind. Balance is the thread that binds all light and shadow, belief and doubt. You realize that the blade you carry is a symbol and a tool not just for battle, but for understanding. Its warmth is the pulse of harmony, a call to keep walking the tightrope between worlds. A subtle smile crosses your lips as you sense the final challenge approaching: the choice between embracing the gods, whispers, or forging your own path. The air thickens with anticipation, and the pool's surface stirs gently. You breathe deeply, ready to face what lies beyond the veil. You rise from the pool's edge, feeling the weight of all you've learned settle into a steady resolve. The temple seems to pulse with life, the marble beneath your feet warm and vibrant as though the gods themselves breathe alongside you. Outside, the wind carries the distant hum of a city waking Athens, the heart of mortal ambition and divine drama. Your thoughts turn to the stories you've uncovered, Illustrious's elusive presence, the fragile balance between gods and mortals, and the trials that have tested your spirit and will. The blade at your side feels less like a burden now, and more like a companion and extension of your own heartbeat, a widely accepted historical fact. Ancient Greek philosophy often explored the concept of arete, or excellence, achieved through balance and harmony in both mind and action. This ideal shaped much of Greek thought and culture, an unusual fact. Some mystery cults practiced secret rites believed to grant initiates a direct experience of divine balance, blurring the line between human and God. These rites remain shrouded in secrecy, their true nature lost to time. As you step outside the temple, you find yourself face to face with Illustrios once more. His eyes hold the depth of oceans and the calm of untouched dawns. "The final choice is yours," he says softly. "Will you restore the balance by following the gods' whispers, or will you create a new path, unbound by their shadows?" The question hangs heavy in the air, a challenge and an invitation. You feel the weight of the blade, the warmth of the orb, and the countless whispers that have guided you this far. In this moment, you understand that balance is not a destination, but a journey, a continuous dance between light and dark, certainty and doubt. You take a deep breath, ready to step forward into the unknown. You stand at the crossroads, where ancient myths and your own story intertwine, the horizon stretching endlessly before you. The weight of the blade and the warmth of the obsidian shard remind you of all that has passed the trials. The whispers, the gods' silent watch. The balance is fragile, yet alive, humming beneath your skin like a secret pulse. Around you, the world seems to hold its breath, the air thick with possibility and promise. The journey has tested your resolve, challenged your beliefs, and revealed the threads that bind mortals and gods alike. Now, the final act beckons not one of battle or conquest, but of acceptance and choice. A widely accepted historical fact. Greek mythology is not a fixed canon, but a living tapestry, woven from countless stories, interpretations, and cultural shifts over centuries. Each retelling reshapes the myth, breathing new life into ancient truths and unusual insight. Some scholars argue that myths like Illustrius's reflect a collective human struggle to understand balance not just between gods and mortals, but within the self. This ongoing dialogue between myth and meaning is as relevant now as it was then. You close your eyes, feeling the steady beat of your heart, the soft hum of the blade, and the quiet strength of the shard. The whispers of the gods fade gently, leaving space for your own voice, the choice you will make, the path you will walk. The sun rises slowly, casting golden light over the landscape. You take a step forward, embracing the unknown with courage. And grace. Balance is not a secret to be found, but a story to be lived. The gods whisper, and now, so do you. Now, as the story settles like twilight across your mind, feel the tension of the journey melt away. Let your breath slow, each inhale drawing in calm, each exhale releasing the weight of endless questions. Imagine the gentle rustle of olive leaves in a soft breeze, the distant call of a nightingale under a silver moon. The blade rests quietly at your side, its warmth now a comforting pulse, a heartbeat shared between you and the ancient world. The whispers of gods become a lullaby, weaving through the quiet spaces, inviting you to rest. Feel your eyelids grow heavy, the steady rhythm of your breath matching the timeless dance of light and shadow. Let the myths you've heard become dreams, painting vivid tapestries behind closed eyes. There is peace here in balance, in story, in silence. Sleep now, wrapped in the gentle embrace of gods and stars, knowing that the journey continues in the quiet spaces between waking and dreaming.